Hey guys, welcome back to my playthrough here on Struggle for the Galactic Empire. I'll tell you what, that's such a long name. It's getting to be a pain in the butt to type in when I'm doing my videos on this. Anyway, like I said, I wanted to continue and play through at least the first turn. And the more I've been looking at it, the more I'm realizing how long these turns actually are going to be. Because all I did was complete out the first phase, and the video that I put up previously on this was not even the completion of the first phase. It was the first third, since I had to do so much extra on that. I did the rest of it off camera. Speaking of which, there are a lot more enemy units on the board. There are 4 groups of usurpers, and there's a bunch of rebel forces, which is just flipping over the unit to its red side. If it does not have a counter on top of it, designating it as a usurper or independent empire or invader or something like that, then it is just considered rebels, and they're like wild people running out and just attacking everyone. They'll attack other chaos forces, like rebels will attack usurpers, who will attack independent empire and everybody, and then my forces. I ended up lucking out that my center force didn't get taken out, but the majority of my perimeter got taken over or controlled. So we'll just have to see how it plays through. Luckily, I actually still have a fair amount. The chaos index did end up going up to 89 now, so I'll have to draw another marker. So on the next turn's marker phase, I'd be drawing 9 instead. But the more I'm looking through this, the more I'm really thinking that it is very similar to Silent Victory and games of that ilk, because there's so much rolling on charts, and you guys are getting ready to see that here in a second. We are at the start of phase B. Let me pan over so you guys can see that. Sorry. Right there, you see I've got the marker on B. I've got a reminder on D for it. But phase B is the operations phase, where all the bad guys take and do their stuff. And there is a chart covering that. So let me show you here. Right here, you see the chart, and it's usurper, independent empire, invaders, and rebels. And you do them in that order, and then you just roll 1d10 and it tells you what they're going to do. And the neat part is below it, it has a summary of what all those words mean. What does it mean when it says attrition or no operations? Means nothing, but it kind of explains everything, which is neat, and tells you how to do that. Let's see, they'll do all their combat during this phase, and then I'll do my combat later. Okay, all right, let's just start. Again, this is the first time I'm playing this game. Absolute very first time, first turn, first phase B. So you guys are learning right here with me. And like I said, I wanted to do this so others could see the game and see whether or not it's something they would enjoy. So let's grab our die here. And like I said previously, you start inside and work your way out. I already know that I have usurper forces here, 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 and over here. So there's 4 groups of usurpers, unfortunately. This is the closest, so we're going to start closest to the center. So we're going to start with them, and then we'll move to these guys, and these guys. And they have a little number on it designating what group and leadership value they have. So that's neat, although they have one with a 4, which is evidently high. Okay, let's roll here. Hopefully it's low. 3 is attrition. Attrition is actually good for me. Eliminate 1 mobile unit in the force. If more than 1 mobile unit is in the stack, choose 1 at random. The force does not move or attack in this chaos phase. So this means they actually get weaker, but it also means that they can't be, there's less to be converted over to me. There's 2 units there, so let's just do, what is it, how many is it? 0 to 4 is going to be AF, and 5 to 9 is going to be CG. to remove. All right, 8. So this CG gets removed. These guys are the transmorphogenic fighters, the ones that are likely to change units back to your side. So those guys are less of a threat now, although they did take out one of my bigger fleets. We're going to move over here, and like I said, one thing that I keep hating on this game on things, and I don't think it's a bad game in and of itself, but they've got the numbers going counterclockwise. I figured that out last night, and that's like, why? Clockwise. Everyone would expect it to be clockwise. But you start your center and you work your way out counterclockwise to find the next lowest number, which is going to be here for this usurper force, which is just a single ship. This is actually part of the reason I kind of spread all my ships out individually at the start of the game, because I knew some of them would get switched to the enemy side, and I didn't want to have all my forces lost. Let's roll, see what they're going to do. They got also a 3, which is attrition. With only 1 unit there, they are wiped out. Okay. This usurper force over here, if this rolls a 3 again, I'm going to re-roll it, because that would be 3 times in a row. Alright, it got a 1, which is also attrition. I'm not kidding this. This has been attrition. 1 and 3 is the only thing they've been rolling. It's been wiping out all these usurpers. That is interesting. Okay, last usurper force. I was wanting to show you guys them moving towards the inside. Alright, roll for me. 1, attrition. I swear it's been nothing but attrition. All the usurpers got wiped out with the exception of this one group here. That's bad for them. Okay, so on your little sequence of play, it says usurper forces, independent empire forces, invader forces, and the rebel forces. So you do each set of units in that order. We've done our usurpers. There are no independent empires on the map yet. There will be at some point. So we're going to go to invader forces, of which there's this group here. And you see they only have a leadership value of 1. And they do have a couple of units there. A couple of SF, I think, is starfighters. So we'll mark them. And they're also in the same hex that has that alien messiah, which I do want to take out because he creates pacifist zones, and they expand out, and it makes it to where I can't use my forces to actually attack the enemy forces, but the enemy forces can't attack mine. And if the alien messiah is left alone for too long, he will actually convert the entire galaxy to his way of thinking, which is complete nonviolence, and you'll lose the game because you won't be able to actually do anything anymore at that point. So let's take a look. Like I said, there are no independent forces. Now I like how they did this to where it's in the line of order of what you do. So again, you just take and roll, and it tells you what to do. That's taken. Where's my blue die? Sorry about my dogs barking there in the background, guys. I apologize. They get overly excited sometimes. And they got a 1, which is awesome. I'm going to re-roll that. I have gotten attrition every single time. We're going to switch the die up. I don't want to kill off all the enemy forces. I want to show you guys how this stuff works. Normally, I would just stick with it. I usually don't ever pick the die up and re-roll it. But I have gotten attrition 5 times in a row. So we're going to re-roll this. Different die. 2. No operations. Okay, so they're just hellbound to do nothing. That is all the invaders. So now we go to rebels. There is a handful of rebels on the board. Here, here, and here. Like I said, those are just independent forces. Pirates and things of that nature. This is our closest. Pretty much you're going to start with the ring that's closest to the center and work your way out. Like I said, I know this one's the closest here, so let's roll off and see what they're going to be doing. They got a 0, and in zeros, that is 0, not 10 in this game. Which again, for rebels, is no operations. My game, I'll tell you what, this has been one of the strangest games so far for me. Just nothing's been happening, and of course nothing's been happening when I'm recording. Alright, actually not that. Let's take and roll for this next one. Come on, do high. 9. There we go. Something will happen. Unfortunately, it's no move plus attack, which no move plus attack means he attacks whatever's in his sector. Okay, he will actually attack my system that's there. So let me set that down and show you guys real quick. That's my system that's in that specific sector, and that's their forces. Top left, I have a 3 in military power, but the parentheses means that you can only defend with that. You cannot attack. So let's set this down, and I'll finally get to show you guys the combat table. Find it here. Now what you're going to do on a combat table, this is going to look similar to anything, other war games that people have played, is you're going to find the number, okay, that they have. They are actually attacking at a -1 strength because I have a military power of 3 and they have a military power of 2, and they're conducting the attack. And you see here how it has it listed down, A3 down to A2, A1, D0, and so forth. What that means is, say a D2 was rolled, anything with a military strength of 2 or lower would be destroyed. So if you had, higher military strengths in that sector, they would survive the attack. Likewise on A, if a A1 is rolled, anything that's attacking that has a strength of 1 or under would be destroyed. So for this guy to be destroyed, he needs to have a low roll of 3 or under. Will kill him actually, since he's attacking at a lower value. But he needs to roll a 9 or higher, which he can't, just to destroy my system. And you can have modifiers, which are usual things like leader modifiers and things of that nature. With this hex though, this sector, there are no leaders, there's nothing else there to modify the combat, so it's just a straight up roll off on it. Let's roll, see what we get on the -1 chart. They got a 7, so they actually rolled pretty good. I don't think that's going to affect me though. So you look on the -1 chart, you scroll down to a 7, means the defender is destroyed if he has a 1 military strength or under. My system has a 3, so my system survives and nothing else happens. And that's it. That's how you conduct combat in this game. And it's done the same way for morphogenic combat or straight up military combat. So I like how they both use the same chart to make that easier. Last guy, we're rolling off on up here to see what he's doing. He got a 1, which is, I swear. And you guys can see, this is uncut footage. I have rolled nothing but attrition. I mean, I couldn't have got any luckier for my game for what they have done the whole way through. That is just amazing how this is going. Sorry, my dog's getting excited by the neighbor's dogs. Okay. We are at the usurpation phase, which, let me just take and zoom in real quick just to show you guys this. I'll back the light off a little bit so you guys can see without it being blared out. That is your little sequence of play. I know I've showed it before, but we just did the chaos operations phase, which is where they're going to move, attack, do all their stuff. The usurpation phase is if the usurpers have moved and actually made it to the core, their attempt to take over the government. That is not going to happen for us. So we go to chaos colonization phase, which we did have a reminder for because that colonized marker was pulled yesterday. And that says, during the chaos colonization phase, place a chaos system unit on any one sector that lacks a system unit. I'm going to go ahead and stop there because, or actually, never mind. There is one system that was lost there, so we can do that. I was thinking that all the systems were still under my control, but they are not. There is one down here in the bottom, right here, that is no longer under my control. That happened last night when I was finishing out the rest of them. So like all the others, you just flip it over to its orange side and set it down, and there you go. Now we are in the independent empire recruiting phase. They do not have any. And now imperial resource collection phase. This is where all my income is added in to this. And I know I dropped a couple on that. And I get my income for all the stuff that I own. So the way you add that up is all the blue system units, the number in their bottom left corner is their resources that they provide you. So you add all those together, and then if you have any colonization ships or world ships, that's what those things are called, on the board who are not in a sector with a system unit, which is a blue chit, they'll add their resources as well. I am right now at a 63. I add that to the 70 or to the 7 that I had left, and I get a income value of 70. So now we go to our expenditure phase, which is where I believe I pay maintenance and buy my units. I'll have to check the rules real quick. I'll do that off camera. But before I do that, I'll show you guys right here on the expenditure chart. This is where you're going to recruit your units. It has its recruit cost and its maintain cost. Some you don't have to pay to maintain, some you do. So you're going to add up all the units that you control, and that's your maintenance cost each turn that will come out of your income and yada yada. You get how it works. You guys play games like that. Let me pause it real quick, do my quick math, and then I'll start back up here. Okay, I went ahead and ran my numbers real quick. Went ahead and added units to the board. You might see a few new ones. When I got done, I have 6 resource points left. I've got my maintenance marked, which is at 19 right now, and I have plenty of cool stuff on the board ready to go. Your maintenance and your income is going to adjust turn by turn as you add units and lose units. There is a fair amount of bookkeeping with that. With this type of game, though, that's to be expected. If you're into this stuff, I'm pretty sure it's not going to be an exorbitant amount of bookkeeping that you're not going to be able to keep track of that stuff. So I already purchased my units. I put them down in sectors that I control that have a system unit there. Again, I try to space them out a little bit, so if I lose a sector, I don't lose a massive amount of my force all in one go. As far as I know, there is no specific stacking limit, but if you have half your force stacked in one small little sector and it gets turned into a usurper and pushes onto the core, you can get taken out. So I try to avoid that. The next sequence of play is the colonization phase, which I have no colony ships on the board to colonize. I do have one world ship, but I just purchased that, and these can also be used to colonize systems. And when you're colonizing, it's effectively just putting a blue system unit marker back onto the board. Right now there's only one system that I actually don't control, so I don't have to worry about it. I did get that world ship though, so I can push south, and if I don't take control back of that system, I can destroy it and then put another one there that's loyal to me. And this, like I said though, keep in mind this is the first game scenario you can play, and it's the one where you start off controlling the whole galaxy with a bunch of chaotic events happening all at once. That's that big startup where I had to draw 24 of the chaos markers. Other scenarios, you don't start off owning the whole galaxy, so you start off with less and less income, things of that nature. Honestly, I think had the role not been attrition, I'd be a lot worse off than I am. So unless I play very badly, I should be able to just stomp through this. But I'm still learning the game, so we'll have to see how it goes. Now we are at the movement phase, where I can move all my units up to their movement factor, which again is the number in the bottom right corner. And let's see where we want to go here. I know I want to eliminate enemy forces to, protect my guys. So I want to keep some stuff in the core to protect myself, a leader, a big set of assault fighter ships, I forget what the AS are called, the IO, which is units that are good at military and morphogenic combat. Those guys can do a little bit of everything. They're supposed to represent elite groups. So I've got that plus a nexus, which I'll get into later, there at the core to kind of try to hold it. So let's take and move this group. Do I want to move my transhuman there? Yeah, we'll move our transhuman after this Starfleet here to get rid of these rebels. We'll move these guys here to go after this AF. We'll move, right here, that alien Messiah is there, but he I can't attack with him there. That is unfortunate. I'll still move these guys there in case I can take him out some other way. Maybe there's something I can do to take him out. And we'll move these guys there to go after them. And I don't think I want to move too much else. I want to have some stuff close. And that's the majority. Yep, that's everything I want to move. So let's run through a little bit of combat. That's the next phase, is Imperial combat. Pay attention to the fact that each turn, the bad guys are going to do all their stuff before you do any of yours. So each turn, more chaos stuff, more empires, more usurpers are going to be spawning, and they're taking control of your units. So some stuff that you might have bought the previous turn might be shooting you on the following turn. All right, let's take and do this. Now this transhuman guy here, let me show you the marker in case you hadn't seen the previous video. Remember, his abilities are variable. They vary depending on his, based on the chaos ability, which unfortunately it is very high. The index is right now. Where is transhumans? 21 in here. Unfortunately, they don't have their chart showing their strength on the map anywhere, which would make things easier on me. Okay, it's on one of these charts, so I gotta find where it is that shows their abilities. Sorry about making you guys wait for a sec. Okay, here it is. Transhuman variable chart, 1 to 33. My guy's going to be 3 and 3, but since it's in the 68 range, 68 to 100 range, he's 1 and 1. So he's the weakest he could possibly be. That is unfortunate. And instead of trying to destroy this starfighter that's here, this rebel one, I'm going to avoid military fighting and try to convert him. So what you do is you add up all of the strength that you have in this sector. I have a 3, 1 for the transhuman, 2, sorry, I just got a text, I apologize, and 2 for this CG unit whose primary combat is the morphogenic stuff. So that is what I'm going to be using against the Starfighters 0. So that means I get to roll on the +3 combat table. I'll show you guys right here. So the farther you're getting to roll on the right, which it will not go above 6, so if you have more than 6 in one area, you don't get any extra bonuses. So this makes it more likely that I can convert him over to my side. And instead of being destroyed, since it's morphogenic, he gets converted to my side. However, if I roll very badly and it ended up here at the top where it's like A3, A2, something like that, my guys would actually convert to their side. So that's very bad. Let's go ahead and take and roll off on it. See if I have any. Now, I did buy an illumination marker. I know I haven't touched on everything. Like I said, there are so many rules to this game. I'm gonna go ahead and mention it, that illumination markers are something that you can spend. It's kind of like a consumable die roll modifier you can use, but you also need them to purchase transhuman units if you want those guys. So it's something to keep in mind. No leadership values there, so it's just my 3 against his 0. Let's roll and see what we get here. Come on, I want to take him over. 8, nice. So we look here on the 8, we'll go over to the +3, and it says D3. That means any defenders, anybody that I was attacking that has a 3 or under on their morphogenic is going to be taken over. Since he has a 0, I have now captured him back to my size, and my forces grow back. That's something I actually like about this game, is that you can go back and forth with your units becoming their units and their units becoming your units again. So it's something neat to keep track of. Hold on one sec here, guys. Had to make sure someone didn't come in when I was filming. Okay, let's do the rest of our combat here. I've got these guys, but combat can't happen there, again, because of the alien messiah and his pacifism. I'll try to figure him out later, probably off camera, on how to get rid of him and do that at some other point. Have you guys ever noticed that when you're trying to do something, that's when everybody needs to text you and beep in and irritate the living hell out of you? Okay, these usurper forces, again, I have morphogenic guys. I've got 2 CGs against him. Okay, excuse me, I'm gonna take and pause this for a sec. All right, sorry about that. The wife needed me for something, and sometimes they don't understand that there are big, stakes in hand, galactic empires being fought for as we speak. Anyway, we got our little combat done there. We're going to do our combat here. Again, I'm attacking them with morphogenic, so I'm trying to convert this usurper back to my side, which would eliminate him and give me an extra ship. My morphogenic power is 4 versus his 0, so I'm going to be rolling on the +4 of, no wait, he's got a leadership value modifier, which is going to help him, so I'm actually still rolling on the 3 instead of that. So let's roll real quick and see if I can take this guy out. Or not take him out, get him. I rolled a 1, so that's not going to be good for me. A 1 is A1. If that had been a little bit worse, if I had rolled a 0, I would have lost both my guys to them. My guys actually would have converted to their forces, which can happen in an attack. But I lucked out, nothing happened, so that ends there. But it's possible they'll attack me with military forces next time and just crush my guys. Couldn't attack there. I think our last battle is to be fought over here, where I have military and morphogenic abilities, because I have an IO unit and an AF unit. That is basically a big fleet and the elite troops and starships and stuff like that there. What am I going to do? I am either going to attack them with military power of 5 or a morphogenic power of 2. If I attack him with a 2, I would have to roll a 6 or higher to get him. So we'll attack him with military power, so I have a much better chance of destroying him. Well, no, because his military power is 3. Or his military power is 2, so the difference would be 3. And I'd be rolling on the +3 chart, which actually isn't too much better. So we're going to try to convert him. I'm going to attack him with morphogenic instead, because it's just 1 chart off there. Let's take and roll, because I would rather convert him to my side than destroy him, since I, come out better that way. Let's see what we get here. Come on, 6 or higher. 5, of course. And when we scroll over on that, it's D1, and I needed a D2. Oh wait, no, excuse me, his is 0, so I got him at 3 or higher. Yeah, we did get him, because his morphogenic ability is 0, which is what I'm comparing it against. So I now take control of him. Like I said, bear with me because I'm still learning the game, but that's the basic gist. And like I said, I wanted you guys to see how it was played and the basic rundown of it. And that is it for our combat phase. Everyone who can attack has attacked. They can't attack. And the next phase is the extra P phase. And in that phase, you basically spend money and roll off on a chart to try and reduce the amount of chaos that's going on. Let's see if I can find that chart real quick for you guys so I can show it to you. With all these charts looking the same, you have to take and look. Okay, here we go. The extra P table here is the phase that I'm speaking of, and basically you're spending so much, and it's per sector that you have control of, and it's your way of using resource points to try to buy down the chaos, but you gotta roll high. So if you were able to get a 18 die roll, like with modifiers and all that good stuff, you could roll the die twice and reduce the chaos level, the amount that was rolled on the die, 2 times. And then you could also possibly get a transhuman, or you might lose a leader depending on what's rolled. But it's a neat little way you can use resources to change where the game state is at that moment. For this first turn, you're not, is it the first turn or is it the, I can't remember if it's the Messiah or the Paranoia that took that away from me. Okay, Paranoia. That, if you guys remember from the previous video, it was this chaos marker that I drew that affects this turn, and on this chart that talks about it, I may not conduct any extra P operations this turn. So it removes that ability from me for just this turn, so it's not the end of the world. Alien conflict phase, which no aliens to conflict, and then we're at the game turn record phase, where you would take and jot down what troops are still yours, where your income is at, and all that good stuff. So basically, we've run through the first turn of the game. Everything between the previous video and this video is a single turn, and there's 10 of those in this first scenario. There's one scenario that's a 5-turn scenario, and then there's one game that is a infinite turn scenario, and pretty much it's like every 20 turns you would take and collect up all your used chaos markers and put them back in the cup. I'll show you guys here. This is my cup, or my bowl of chaos markers. Okay, so you can see how many are still there after I just got done drawing 24 for this turn. And the most that I'd be drawing is 10 per turn for the rest of the turns. So there's plenty of chaos markers in here. I gotta say, after playing through the first turn, this game intrigues me. I actually enjoy it so far. It's neat to control your forces, moving them around, but you also, like I said, have to consider where your forces are, and do you bunch up, do you take and go after them? Because if a chaotic event happens that causes this group of forces here to become their own independent empire, well, they're going to start carving out their own niche in my galaxy. You know, it's just neat because you can have multiple different smaller empires in it. What is that game that I'm thinking? Stellaris. If you've ever played a computer game called Stellaris, this reminds me of that. Not real deep down into it, because Stellaris gets into population and research and stuff like that, but the general gist of trying to control the big wide open galaxy, and it always being a tenuous thing because you have this popping up and this popping up and this little empire over here causing issues for you. That it definitely reminds me of that. So I'm gonna say my first impressions of the game were not good, simply again because of the component quality, and I thought they could have done a lot better. But I will say I like the game. So if you're looking for a sci-fi game to check out and you're wanting real-time strategy, I guess, like a PC game, but you're wanting it down on the table, sci-fi version, this is one you can look into. You got to keep track of your income and how much your units are costing, and I've actually got to adjust my income now because of recruiting units and flipping other units back to my side. So my maintenance cost has gone up, which I need to take into consideration because I'm going to lose more systems. It's a neat thing to keep track of. I'm definitely going to get this down to the table again and give it a good full playthrough, and I guarantee I'll enjoy it. It's not a bad game. The rulebook is not hard to understand. The difference, I'd heard the first edition rulebook was a pain in the butt. The second edition is much better. It's not hard, especially if you take and have the charts in your hand when you're going through the rulebook, and you can eyeball them, and maybe even the chaos markers at the same time. It won't be hard, and you can even start the game with the optional rules, things like the transhumans and the nexus points and illumination markers and stuff like that, because none of it is that hard. Play through a turn or two and you'll have it down. But anyway, I'm gonna hop off here, guys. I'll get this posted up. Keep an eyeball out. I'm going to try to have my next turn of Day of Heroes up either tonight or tomorrow morning. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next video.